As you've just heard, my name is... Oh, I'm going the wrong way. My name is Laura Gallagher, and I work for the Bank for International Settlements. I'm currently Head of Core Infrastructure Engineering, and I would like to tell you a little bit more about what the bank does before I get into the meat of the presentation. So what is the Bank for International Settlements? It's the world's oldest international financial organisation, founded in 1930 and owned by 63 central banks. It currently has 4 mandates. The first is it's a bank for the central banks. Secondly, it drives innovation and knowledge sharing. Thirdly, it supports monetary and economic policy. And fourthly, or lastly, it conducts research in financial and monetary issues. So, enough about the BIS. Let's get into why SCION. Why are we exploring SCION? I think you've heard a lot about it today anyway. But we believe the current internet lacks adequate security for exchanging data between our central banks. So this is the problem. What is the outcome? What do we actually want to see, and what is the solution? We believe we want to achieve top-tier secure services, not only for our central banks, but also for our internal customers. We believe, guess what? SCION is the answer for that. And we would like to leverage SCION to do something very similar to the SSFN, but we would like to have a secure international financial network. So it's a big ask, but I can dream. So let's see. Let's dig a little bit deeper into the current challenges. So the internet, which is wonderful, of course, was not designed at the forefront of security. Although a lot of enhancements have been made, we're still subject to, you've heard it before, BGP hijacking, man-in-the-middle attacks, data leaks, IP spoofing, etc., etc. We also want to be able to ensure that the data, or the path that our data takes, does not cross through unwanted jurisdictions. We also want to have a solution that is not only secure, robust, but also mature and enterprise-ready. So, with every challenge comes an opportunity. And we believe the opportunity that we can leverage is with SCION. I believe that it addresses a lot of the security issues that we have just spoke about. It does not mitigate them completely, but it certainly reduces the attack surface, say, for example, the DDoS. We're also able to engineer our traffic from end to end, not only securing the path, but also possibly improving performance and also latency. We also, once you're in the SCION backbone, you can leverage multiple providers. So you're not reliant on one single provider, so it's multi-vendor, and also it's highly resilient. So let's dig a bit deeper. We started to explore SCION back in 2018, 2019. I think Peter mentioned it in his slides when SSFN were looking at it. And we reached out to Switch, not for SCION, but for something different. And Switch is for those of you that don't know, the academic and research network for Switzerland. And they told us about SCION, and we thought, oh, this sounds fantastic. It's conceptually amazing. But it was very new, and we weren't convinced that, one, we had any use cases for it, and two, it wasn't mature enough for us as an organisation. So we already had a native SCION connection in our Basel data centre because they offered it at the time as a bonus with the services that we had. And we also wanted to see where we could take it in the future. One of the other use cases that we were looking at was our regional site connectivity, which I'll come on to in a bit more detail later. Use case number 2. So everyone is exploring cloud services, and there is more and more adoption, especially for SaaS services and PaaS services. We currently have a small footprint in Microsoft Azure, so we're not multi-cloud, we're just single cloud. And we're running that over a VPN today into our landing zone. So we think it might be better to be able to provide enhanced security there than just using VPN. We also want to possibly look at the remote access that Peter just talked about, but we need the global outreach, so there may be some challenges there. And lastly, what is the ultimate goal for us as I previously mentioned, we want to have a secure international financial network that all our central banks can collaborate in a secure manner. So I do love marketing slides, as you all hear today, but I like to put it to the test. So one of the use cases that we were looking at was to more familiarise ourselves with the technology. How does it work? How would the team operate it? How would we integrate it into our current environment? What are the challenges and what are the advantages? So as you can see here, we have many locations that we have our Basel main headquarters, where we have active data centres. We have our regional offices in Mexico and Hong Kong. And then we have multiple innovation hubs. As I said, one of our mandates is to drive innovation. So we have 9 sites. We're just about to open our 9th, actually, in Toronto, Canada. And we chose 3 of those locations to do a proof of concept on. So Frankfurt, Zurich, and Singapore. Today, we just have site-to-site VPNs. And as you know, VPNs are not as secure as you think, because the underlay is still the public internet. So I'll come on to some of the results of that later on. The next use case is very similar to the first one, where we have a site-to-site VPN from our Basel headquarters into Microsoft Azure. What we did was we leveraged the native SCION connection from our Basel headquarters that we procured back in 2018, 2019, to use it into the backbone, but for the purposes of the POC, we're not going to go and leverage new connections, so we decided just to use the VPN for that, and we were able to still test the features and functionalities. The third use case that we were looking at was Hong Kong and Mexico. So today we have 2 active data centers, we have 2 redundant connections, and we thought, why would we even explore SCION for this use case? But SCION actually has advantages here, because not only can you engineer your traffic, because with a layer 2 network today, you have no idea at where your traffic is going from A to B, and it may be crossing unwanted jurisdictions that you're not aware of. So you can actually engineer your traffic to go through a path that you want, and engineer it to have better performance and lower latency. So what are the outcomes of this? One, we're able to establish the native SCION connection, which is a big plus. The second is we were able to improve communication and have more visibility. The third is in the SCION backbone, you're vendor neutral, so you're not reliant on one ISP. And lastly, you're able to engineer your traffic from end to end using the SCION protocol. So what were the challenges of the POC? One is there's a problem with the global outreach. So I've heard a lot today about the global outreach, but I see challenges there, and I look forward to seeing the answers later on. But we had to use the last mile for the VPN, and that was twofold. One was we're not going to procure a new circuit, as I said, and the second is I don't believe we're able to provide native SCION connections to our locations. So that's a big problem. But I think we can overcome that. The interoperability issues that I mentioned are not actually interoperability. It's more, how do we familiarise ourselves with the product? What does the technology do? How are the features working? And I believe we achieved that during the POC. I have my expert, Mr. SCION, over there. So we're very happy with the outcome of the features and functionality. But we believe it's not right for us because we don't have the global outreach that we need today. So, the roadmap improved visibility. This is it for illustration purposes only, and it just went live this month, and that's from Anapaya. And it shows you all the different paths that your network can take from end to end, and you can use multipath, you can use single path. In the event that there is a problem with one of them, it'll automatically reroute. You can also ask for the shortest path, so improving latency. And I just think this is so much better than what you get from a layer 2 service from a service provider. So, I keep saying so. What are the next steps? So I would like to establish a working group within the central bank community to leverage a mass use case for the ISPs to have that global outreach. And if we're able to do that, then there's a possibility of moving on to more and more services, as Peter mentioned, as well as the remote access. I'm really looking forward to this journey and think there's a lot of progress to be made, and I'm happy that I could embark on this. So, thank you. Any questions?